So I am pretty much done with this Plague Doctor, and now it's time to fix it. I printed it in 2 sections. Back there, you could actually see the original Plague Doctor next to a tiny Plague Doctor. But this is more of a medium, and this I used Mesh Mixer to slice it right over here. So I have this. There's a couple of mistakes I made with this, is that I didn't use support for printing it, and what happened is when it got to the robe right here, it kind of messed up. But I'm going to try and fix that a little bit with some caulk. And so if you are having issues printing this, I have it on my Thingiverse and my Patreon page. You need to use some sort of support, and specifically for here, just for the sections of the robe. Otherwise, it should be a very easy print to do. What I am going to do is I'm going to fix this seam, and I'm using some sealant. It's like just bath and kitchen sealant. It's white. I'll put it in my fingertips, and I will just run it along the seam here. And then we're going to take a sponge and make sure that it is nice and smooth. So you want to just get it in the crevice here. Just kind of rub it. Let me see if I can move so you guys can see. So this is a lot more evident to use, and I'm just going to push it in, just push the sealant in. The way I joined these 2 halves was using super glue, but you don't have to use super glue. You could use, I believe rubber cement works really well. By the way, if you download this or any of these prints, I'd love to see the result that you guys get. This took quite a bit of time to print as well. But you know, one thing I'm realizing is that if you print small, it just doesn't look as cool. So I like to at least print it a little bit bigger. And there's some issues here where the overhangs are. That's where I should have used support for better quality, and I didn't, so that was foolish of me. But this top part was printed in my last printer, an Ender 3 V1. This bottom part was printed with the new printer that I have, which is the Ender 3 V2. Now here's another thing. Right down here, the print actually kind of lifted, and I was like trying to take care of it, you know. So this, I kind of peeled it off, but this part got distorted because when you print, sometimes the temperature of another room creates drafts onto the bed of the printer, and that was like an issue. So I want to see if I can fix that just by adding a little bit of the caulk here. I don't think that's going to be workable. This part I actually ruined when I was like peeling off the raft. The raft is the first layer that puts down, and it's like a supporting layer. It's not part of the 3D print. I have a wet sponge. This is what you would do in doing housework, caulking windows and stuff, or frames. So I'm just going around and trying to get rid of any excess caulk. And I might add another layer, but for right now, I want to get rid of any excess caulk, especially like right here in the edges. You don't need that. They'll just get in the way.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. Pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
This is a much scaled version, 3D printed. This is the first one I did. I kind of messed up a few things, including the skulls kind of broke off. It was a quick test, but it did print out pretty well. One of the things that you learn in sculpting is that if you have a triangle going up, it's easier to sculpt. This is the next one that I just printed. I printed it in 2 parts, so I cut it in half and then I glued it and then I just finished painting it, and that's the result. I think it's it worked out pretty well. I did use a gold base, kind of like what I did for this one, and then I used my patina on top. And here is the original. This is clay. This is extremely heavy. You need both hands to pick it up. And it's got the same sort of metal paint that I used in this one. But in this one, I used a gold base and then I put like that metal paint on top, and then I applied the patina. It's currently drying. It looks a little bit different, and it's going to just be just a little bit more golden, a little bit warmer than this one. But this is the original, and there's a lot more detail on this than on this. You would have to like really look up close, and you would see the brush strokes, you would see the scraping of the tools. That pretty much is gone in the 3D versions, but I still like them because you can create a lot of interest based on the paint that you apply. So this one does have some brush strokes, it does have some interest in it, and you don't have to have a 3D print be kind of robotic as most 3D prints seem to be. I think what I'm learning about 3D printing is that you should just get the cheapest PLA. For me, it's white, and then you paint that with whatever you want. And I think that seems to work out fairly well. Before, I was getting all sorts of paint, all sorts of colors, and they're usually more expensive. So if you don't really require any special like fluorescent color, there's really no point. I think just learning how to paint your 3D prints like this is a much more effective way of making a sculpture look instead of like something that's 3D printed. Well, that is this process, guys. I'm really enjoying 3D printing and combining it with traditional sculpture, and hopefully you guys learned something in this video. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.